Club in Maryland, and he's aboard, and he says hello. Robert, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Good, Chris. Good to talk to you again. Glad to see baseball's back.
Well, not back yet, but at least it's in the forefront of our minds, that's for sure. Go ahead.
It is, and I got to tell you, you said the most infuriating words ever today.
Which is what?
Small market. It is ridiculous that in 2018, teams can't compete because they're not in New York, Los Angeles, or Boston, or Chicago.
Well, teams can compete, but they can't. But their windows are shorter. But they can compete. They can compete.
Yeah. Well, eventually we need to have something come through and break this union and get a salary cap and follow the models of every other league, so that every team can compete. My Orioles spend $112 million in payroll. Best they're looking at third.
You're right. The Orioles are those three teams. Everybody gets all teary-eyed over the Yankees and the Red Sox, but those three teams. If you're a Tampa fan, if you're an Oriole fan, the Orioles have been competitive. But if you're a Tampa fan, and you're an Oriole fan, and even a Blue Jay fan, it's tough. It's tough sledding. That's for sure. Tough sledding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Look at the NFL. Green Bay is the smallest market in the world. They're competitive every year.
Well, that's because they have centralized television. I mean, there's no local TV. I mean, that's what this comes down to.
Basketball don't. They have the same television plans that MLB does, and they have salary caps and salary floors.
Yeah, but their
union isn't as strong.
There is some truth to that. Now, remember, the NBA just signed a new deal with the ESPN, and ESPN were a bunch of drunken sailors and gave them $1.4 billion a year, which is the dumbest contract in the history of professional sport. To pay the NBA that kind of money for their games, it just there's not enough juice in the regular season. As far as baseball is concerned, with so many games and most of their national TV money revolving around postseason, that makes it imperative in baseball that you sell tickets, number one, and number two, have a good local TV deal. And, when you own your network, a la Nesson, or the Dodgers, or the Yankees, who did have a lot of influence with Yes, it's going to give you huge advantages over some of these other teams. That's just all there is to it. And that's a problem.
I agree.
And that's a problem.
And it shouldn't. And until the union is broken, because they're killing the sport. Like I said, as an O's fan, lifelong baseball, I don't care about as much pace of play. I care about the fact my team has no chance going into the season.
Yeah, and this year it's as bad as I've ever seen it, because you have a lot of teams. Again, you're a Red, you're a Pirate, you're a Brave, even if you're a Marlin especially. Now, if you're a Padre fan, there's some hope. But if you're a Red, Pirate, Brave, Marlin, those are four teams. The Phillies and Padres have a little hope. But those are four teams that are a disaster. If you're the Orioles, as Bob was, you're Tampa, you're Kansas City. Now, you just won in Kansas City. You'll be a little more patient. But Detroit, even the White Sox, Oakland, it's tough. Baseball's got some issues there. There's no question about this. Competitive balance thing has been around for a long time, and that's an issue that baseball never can quite solve. And the union's got something to do with it. That's the way it is. Matt is in Houston, and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Matthew, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Chris. How you doing, pal?
Matt, nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now? What do you have for me?
Hey, I know we're hitting the baseball hard. Diehard Eagles fan down here. I had a question about the Nick Foles trade market and what you would do if you were an Eagles fan and had Foles as your backup. Are you going to take a first, a third, and a fifth for Nick Foles?
Well, first off, nobody's going to give you
NFL draft.
Nobody's going to give you a first-round pick for Nick Foles.
Arizona's got the first, third, and a fifth out there.
They're not going to give you that because they know that Foles is not going to play.
It's out there.
Yeah,
it's out there.
No, I haven't heard Arizona say that. Arizona. Go ahead.
3-year extension, $60 million.
I did not hear that. Now, if Arizona, what pick do they have in the first round? They have a good pick, don't they?
I think they have a top 15 pick, but a first, a third, and a fifth is what I saw. And I don't know if I'd even do it for a first, third, and a fifth. The backup quarterback is the most important position. I don't know what Wentz is going to be week one. But I want to know your take.
I would not, Matt. I would not trade Foles because I think you're upsetting the karma. I think as you said, you can't guarantee that Wentz is going to be completely healthy the first game or two of the regular season. You just won a championship with the kid. The town is in a state of a honeymoon period. Foles can do no wrong. I wouldn't all of a sudden get him out of there after 2 months or a month and a half after he won. I wouldn't do that myself. Now, that doesn't mean they, and I also don't think that contract is there myself. I'd be surprised if they can get a first, third, and a fifth for Nick Foles. Now, I may be wrong. See, there's so many quarterbacks that are available. You can get Case Keenum. You can get Teddy Bridgewater. You got 4 or 5 quarterbacks coming out of the draft. There are so many QBs that are Cousins. There are so many quarterbacks that are out in the open market. I don't know why you have to overpay to get Foles. Now, Foles got a chance to be good, and his value is high right now. But that would concern. I don't know why I would do that if I'm Arizona at the moment. Kevin in Nashville, Tennessee. Kev, good afternoon. How are you today?
Doggy, happy Friday.
Nice to have you with us. How are you today?
Pretty good. Hey, a couple questions. Number one, the girl who does the updates, is that Rena Sofer, the actress?
No, I wish it was.
Oh,
no.
thought it was someone else. That's all right. Back to the Yankees and Stanton. I was like you. I didn't like the trade. I didn't love the trade when it happened. I thought it kind of upset the apple cart. But I think if I could give Cashman some truth serum, I'd ask him 2 things. Number one, was that his idea? And I think it was more Steinbrenner than him. And number 2, would he not do the deal if he knew he could get Arrieta and Moustakas for a similar price? What do you think on that?
So, for instance, you would think that Cashman was not involved. What was the player that you were referring to?
Stanton.
I think that the Yankees just felt I think that the Yankees just felt that was a move that they had to very well make. I just think that the Yankees really thought that with Stanton available, there was no other way. It was too easy. They basically was handed them on a silver platter. He hit 59 home runs. They gave up Castro, who they didn't love anyway. I think the Yankees just felt that was a move they had to make. I don't think that the Yankees here, with any scenario, I don't think the Yankees were in a situation where they could say no. Now, again, they handed them to him on a silver platter. I don't think this is the case of Arrieta or anybody else. This is the idea that Stanton was available, the price was right, they can squeeze him in a cap, and away they go. Here is John in Long Island. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Johnny, good afternoon. How are you today?
All right, Chris. You were talking about Hogan in '53. Remember, the Open was a man's tournament. You played 36 on Saturday, I mean. The British Open, you used
but they're screwed up. Why don't you go downstairs and help them out? Say that one more time now about Hogan. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
The Open was 36 holes on Saturday in those days.
The U.S.
The
Open.
British Open.
Correct, yes.
You used a different golf ball. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a direct conflict between the PGA and the British Open that year. The PGA was match play.
PGA was match play for years. Now, usually you're right. I think you're right. Now, what year specifically was there a conflict with the PGA and the British Open?
53.
So he did not play the PGA and just played the British Open, and so he could not win the Grand Slam. Is that the point?
Yes.
You might be right. I'd have to go back and look at that, John. You might be right. Now, I don't know anything about the golf ball. What was the issue with the golf ball?
The British Open used a different golf ball up until the late 60s, I believe. It was a little bit different size, and you had to play their ball.
That I'm not aware of. Now, I don't think you're telling me Americans didn't go there because of the golf ball?
No, I'm telling you that they used a different ball. It had a little bit different characteristic. I believe it was a little bit smaller, Chris.
Yeah, that might be true, but Hogan didn't like going to Britain. It could have been because of the golf ball, right?
No, he probably didn't like the travel. Listen, it wasn't like getting on the Concorde and going over.
Yeah, but, Arnold Palmer didn't seem to have a problem with it. He loved going over there 5 or 6 years later.
Well, it was a different time, a different place. Hogan was a lot older. In the early 50s, Hogan wasn't a kid because he'd won on the PGA in 41.
Right. I know Hogan was old. It took him a long time. I think he was 29 when he won his first major, was he not? What
Something like that, right.
We'd have to look at Hogan's year he was born. I think you're right. The most important thing you said there, John, is the British Open and the PGA. There was a conflict. I think that's the first deal. I think there was a conflict that year with the two of them, and I think that was an issue. Here's Christopher in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And Kentucky's beating Georgia, so Kentucky moves on to play Alabama. Georgia's eliminated from the NCAA. Good afternoon there, Chris. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Hello, Mr. Russo. I have a question for you about the Yankees.
Go ahead. Let me hear. Shoot.
I was with you with the Stanton trade. I thought that it messed up or would mess up the team chemistry. And one of the things I thought the Yankees had going for them was Starlin Castro, who was, their best hitter. And
Well, he wasn't their best hitter now. He wasn't their best
pretty
hitter.
good fielder. And I just thought moving those pieces around would disrupt the team that we'd all like so much. We weren't ashamed of liking. But I heard you just say that they didn't like Castro.
Well, I listen. I think there is a. I don't think they did love. First off, they got Torres to play second base, so they have a couple of infielders in the minor leagues who is forthcoming. That's the first thing. Second thing is, but your overall point, I get it, is I don't love the idea that the Yankees, upset the apple cart. They're going to have trouble finding spots for everybody on the team with Gardner and Stanton and Hicks and of course, Judge. And I just think that they, lost a little of their appeal with Stanton.
I agree.
So I think that is the issue more than anything else. And I think...
As a Yankee fan, I agree with you, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did. Now, it's going to be, we'll see how it plays itself out. He did hit 59 home runs, and him and Judge will be, two guys you're going to have to watch. But I'm going to have to see Stanton on a day-in, day-out basis and do this again on this level. I don't think the Yankees had any issues at all trading Castro. I think he was owed about $22 million left in his contract. I think the Yankees are happy that the Marlins took Castro off. They would have been more happy if it was Ellsbury. But I think the Yankees are happy that they took Castro out of their hands, to be honest with you. I have any issues with that whatsoever. Randy in the state of Washington, and he's with us here, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Randy, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, dog, I'm fine. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about Ichiro and the Mariners, and are they signing him just to pull another stunt, reaching into the past and trying to sell some bobbleheads? Couldn't they have done better than that?
Well, I mean, they had an injury. Ben Gamel got hurt. He's out for a month. That may have had something to do with it. He's comfortable in Seattle, but I think overall. I think there is a marketing aspect to this, and I happen to agree with you wholeheartedly. I think he's shot, and I don't think they need Ichiro on the team. I do think there's a need for him at the moment, but overall, I think you're 100% right. Go ahead.
Yeah, they could have, at least thrown some prospect in there for try to find the next Ken Griffey instead of just digging up the past again, like you said. All right, thanks, dog.
Thank you, Randy. I don't like the move either by any stretch of the imagination. We'll see how it plays itself out. Peter in Brooklyn, he's on Mad Dog Unleashed, and he says hello. Pete, good afternoon. How are you today, pal?
Dog, how you doing?
Hello there, Peter. Good afternoon. What's going on?
First of all, I just want to say I'm a refugee coming over to your program.
There you go, refugees. Back in the mix. Always a pleasure to have you aboard. Stuck on a boat, getting sick of hearing about Kirk Cousins, whether he goes to the Jets or not. So nice to have you with us. What is going on here today? Fire away.
All right, just wanted to mention about the first two picks in the draft.
Shoot.
You're saying that Jarvis Landry may be traded to the Browns?
He was traded. He's traded. It's a done deal.
He was? Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that indicates that they're going to go over the quarterback in their first pick?
I think that they were going to take Barkley, Peter, with their first pick. I think Barkley will be traded with their first pick. I think after that will be they will use that number 4 to see where they go. But I think Barkley will be the first pick. And look what the wind blew in. Timmy Russo and I said the story. What's the kid's name? Chris Likes, the kid from Miami that you told me about last night. What's the last name? Little guy? Yeah, little guy. What's his name? Chris Likes. How did put a microphone on him? It's Colin. How did you know who Chris Likes was?
He was good in high school, and I followed it. So
and you can't tell me who John Beeline is?
I'm sorry.
Who is the coach of Gonzaga?
I'll tell you that one later.
Name me 2 starters on Gonzaga.
Oh, Big guy with the beard, right? Is he still on
All
the
right,
team?
he's off.
I
haven't watched him go.
Oh, you can't. All right, I'll give you another one. Who is the head coach at UCLA?
That's
I don't know
Self.
who he is.
No.
That's Alford. Steve Alford.
Okay, I gotta find a coach on a good team. All right, who is the head coach of? Let me give you a good one in the NCAA tournament. Who is the head?
I'm not going to get a lot of them.
No, I know that's the point. That's what I want to say. Who is the head coach of Florida?
Oh, Mike White.
Oh, all right. Timmy's in
Nice
there,
job,
too.
Tim.
Where's the update? With Zig Fracassi, he can tell you who the coach is. Am I Wild and Leafs going to get the over the mid-90s? 96, 97.5 Leafs,
Yep.
96.5 Wild.
Well, you need, 10 more with the Leafs, so I think that's attainable.
12 more. They got 85, right?
Yeah.
I need 97.5, so a little more. 13 more.
Yeah.
I think I'll get that. How about the Wild? 83, I got to get the 96.5.
That one's going to be close. But I think you'll be close on that one. They've played well. Eric Stahl's been absolutely beast this year.
Yeah, he's played well. They've been good. They had a bad game the other night, so you think I'll get both with the hockey. Okay, very good.
All right.
I got to come up with a coach that Colin doesn't know on an NCAA. He'll tell you the starting five, but he won't be able to tell you the head coach. Here's the Sports Bite with Zig, Mad Dog.